Joining me now is Gordon Chang. He'll be one of the keynote speakers at our October 3rd and 4th conference, along with who else? We got Sidney Powell, we got Alex Newman, we have Mark Mitchell, the lead pollster at Rasmussen, we have Dr. Lana. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. I think we got more than that. Full details and to register, worldviewstore.com. We only have seating for 350 people. The rest of you will have to join the vault and watch it online. Okay. Oh, Chris Martinson. Yeah. Worldviewstore.com. First come, first serve for tickets. Okay. Joining me now is Gordon Chang. Mr. Chang, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Brandon. I really appreciate it.
We're glad to have you with us. A lot in the news. You tweeted out 11 hours or so ago, what happens when a militant nuclear weapon state tears itself apart? We're about to find out. Tell me about what's going on in China, please.
Yeah, over the last week, there have been about a half dozen senior Chinese military officers who have disappeared.
Whoa.
The person you have on your screen is the #2 uniformed officer, General He Weidong. His disappearance has yet to be confirmed, but news of this was just yesterday. And really what's going on right now, especially in the Rocket Force, which is the branch of the Chinese military that controls almost all of the country's nuclear weapons, there have been a lot of disappearances, even a suicide among a senior officer. This is getting dangerous because the Chinese regime right now looks like it is fighting each other. The military is especially very unhappy with Xi Jinping. We know that because in PLA, People's Liberation Army propaganda organs, they're praising collective leadership, quote unquote. That's a direct slap at Xi Jinping's style because Xi Jinping has basically taken power from everybody else. Military is not happy about it, and that means there's a lot of infighting.
All right, so now we also have China, Russia, and Iran. They're about to hold joint military exercises together. What do you make of this?
Yeah, this is in the Gulf of Oman, started a couple days ago. There are not that many ships involved, but they chose a very high-profile, crowded part of the sea to hold this exercise. This was political, and this follows on from today, where you had the deputy foreign ministers of those three countries met in Beijing and issued some statements that weren't entirely complimentary of the United States. President Trump has said, look, we're going to deal with this either with an agreement or militarily. The Iranians, who are hell-bent on a nuclear weapon, didn't take very kindly to that. China and Russia have supported them in their statements at that meeting in the Chinese capital. So this is another crisis that is just waiting to happen.
And let's take a look at this one right here. Iran Observer is noting that Iran and Russia joined forces to produce semiconductors. Russian and Iranian technology companies will work together on technological developments and meet the demand for chips in both countries. I think this is also at a time, I have another story, I'll bring it up while you're talking, where China, I think, is building a supercomputer or super chip that's like, I don't know, 1,000 times or something more powerful than Google's.
Yes. The Iranians don't make computer chips. So when you see an Iranian weapon, like a drone, it's got Chinese semiconductors in it. And now Iran wants to make its own. Russia seems to be helping them. This just shows there is tightening bonds among those three, actually four, when you add in North Korea. So we're dealing with a situation where these countries have made it very clear that they're going to work with each other, they're going to support each other, and they're going to fight to take down the existing international system.
Yeah, here's the article. I have it on my phone. I think I can bring it up here on computer as well. Here we go. Yeah. Let it load. There it is. China unveils new quantum supercomputer, which is 1 million times faster than Google's supercomputer. Everybody's racing to get these supercomputers. Yeah. Well, there you go. How might they use their computer, Mr. Chang?
Well, they're going to use it for military purposes. You know, you combine it with artificial intelligence, you get something that can really move fast. with a lot of these Chinese breakthroughs, they are a lot less impressive than they are reported to be. So, for instance, DeepSeek, which on January 20 released its R1 model, shocked the world. It was a lot less impressive than it was reported. They spent a lot more money, took a lot more time, required many more chips. And by the way, DeepSeek they violated OpenAI's terms of service by copying their large language model. DeepSeek trained its large language model by basically taking everything from OpenAI, which is a U.S. company. So, there's an arms race in AI, and there's also one in quantum computing. And the Chinese are neck and neck with us. So, they may have something that's faster, but I really, really I worry that this is just not what people are saying it is.
What about Elon and his relationship with China and what he's doing? When you come here in the fall, I don't know if you want to drive by it, but we have the old Electrolux facility that's humongous that Elon bought last year. And in like 19 days, he had it trained and up and running. Now he's bought another 100 acres next door to it. He's going to do 1.5 to 2 million chips by 2027. They're using about 2,098 gallons a minute to keep this facility cool. So they're sucking the water up out of the Mississippi River. This is 30 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. What's the relationship in, the whole DeepSeek, Elon Musk, Grok? He's calling this colossal, by the way, which is kind of interesting. I did not know until yesterday there was a movie back in 1970 called Colossal. It was a sci-fi movie about how a gigantic supercomputer holds the world hostage and threatens nuclear war. And apparently in the movie, Russia has its own version of this big supercomputer as well. I'd never even heard of the movie till yesterday when Patrick Wood pointed it out to me. And that Elon is calling his system Colossal. What is the relationship between Elon and China when it comes to what he's doing here versus what he may be doing over there?
That's a very important question. And it's a question that the Senate asked about 5 years ago. And the reason is people are very worried that because of Tesla's gigafactory in Shanghai and Tesla's reliance on the Chinese market, people are worried that Beijing is going to lean on Elon Musk, not with regard to Tesla, but with regard to SpaceX, because Elon Musk also controls SpaceX. And SpaceX is critical because if we're getting back to the moon, which is absolutely we have to do, it's not going to be because of NASA, and it's not going to be because of Blue Origin. It's going to be because of Elon Musk. So people are worried that China will exercise its leverage over him that way. I trust that Elon Musk is tougher than that, but you got to remember that Elon Musk says some pretty pro-China stuff about, for instance, Taiwan, stuff that, by the way, is not true. So we got to worry about China's influence over the world's richest man.
Well, particularly when it seems as though the next war might be fought in space, right? Or from space.
Well, yeah, you could say that the war will be determined by whoever wins in the first half hour. Who takes down whose satellites. That has a big effect on a war. So clearly we've got to do something, and we haven't defended our space assets like we should. So we're at mortal risk of losing the war before it begins.
Look at this article headline, guys. This is from Gordon Chang, article written yesterday, 2 days ago, March 12th. Will South Korea expel the U.S. on the Korean Peninsula? Freedom is at risk. Democracy is at risk. Everything is at risk. And we've talked about this before. South Korea possibly going communist. Hard to even believe we're talking that way, is it not?
Yeah, actually, it was posted this morning, though they probably used the old date because it got delayed because of
because
Ukraine.
it says updated March 12th, published March 14th. There you go.
Yeah, this is a really important story. The president of South Korea is a conservative, Yoon Suk-yeol. He declared martial law on December 3, and it only lasted 6 hours. He rescinded it. But he has been impeached because of that by the National Assembly, which is the unicameral legislature controlled by leftists. The leftists control it because they stole elections in 2022 and 2024, by the way. So right now, Yoon his fate is being decided by South Korea's constitutional court. If they remove Yoon, then within 60 days, the country has to hold a presidential election. Now, the leftists, if the vote were fair, probably wouldn't win that election. And to give you a sense, Yoon was really unpopular before martial law. His approval rating was somewhere around 15%. Today, depending on the poll, his approval rating is like 46 to 51%. And the reason is not because of anything that Yoon did, but because the South Korean people saw that the leftists overreached. They not only impeached Yoon, they impeached his acting president, and they're going after everybody else. So they're trying to seize power. The guy who runs the leftist Democratic Party of Korea is a real bad actor. He's very pro-North Korea, very pro-China, very anti-US, and he's ruthless. So this is a guy, if you go back, before Yoon, there was a leftist president, Moon Jae-in, also of the Democratic Party of Korea. Moon had views which were just as bad as Ye's views, Lee Jae-myung, who's the current leftist leader. But Moon was not that relentless. Now, Lee Jae-myung, the current leader of the leftists, he is just really a villain. And so really what we have is that he might actually seize power and turn South Korea into, first of all, a communist state, and then merge it into North Korea. So everything is on the line right here. And the people in South Korea know it, which is the reason why Yoon's popularity has skyrocketed, even though he has been held in detention. Or maybe because he's been held in detention.
Tell me about this article. The U.S. can control the world's light switch. March 2025, brand new report by you.
Yeah, what I try to do is look at President Trump's policies. In Trump's first term, he decided that the U.S. should become energy independent, not only because that makes we don't have to worry too much about what Saudi Arabia does, but also because he wanted to be able to sell crude oil, but especially LNG, liquefied natural gas, around the world to give us leverage with Europe and with others, so that Europe wouldn't be dependent, for instance, on Russia, that they would be dependent on the U.S. Now, Trump in his second term is doing the same thing. And what I do is just look through all the issues, because there will be a time when wars will be fought over energy. And right now, Trump is a very good policy, is allowing drillers to actually open up federal waters. And he's also issuing permits and approvals for LNG export facilities in Louisiana, where they all are. So this is going to be a good story for us. And I wanted to just go through some of the basics of it, because it's a story that really hasn't been told.
Let's talk about tariffs on Mexico, tariffs on Canada. The last week or so, I've been asking a question I'd like to ask you. What if this isn't really about tariffs as much as it is about using tariffs to apply pressure on Canada and Mexico, because Canada and Mexico have been infiltrated by the CCP, and maybe even there are Chinese troops or special forces, both in our country, the military-age males, but also in Mexico and Canada, supposedly maybe training in the colder weather by the CCP up in Canada. I don't know. When I look at things, I don't usually think about, oh, that's the issue. I always think and ask myself, is that the issue, or is there a back issue and this is being used as the leverage to get something else? Is President Trump trying to put pressure on the Canadian government and the Mexican government to deal with the CCP that's on our border?
Oh, absolutely. And actually, Trump has specifically said that. Remember when he imposed and he first announced tariffs on Mexico and Canada, he talked about the problems at both of those countries. And the problem from Canada is actually worse than the one from Mexico. Just to give you an example, In federal fiscal year 2024, which ended on September 30, 2024, U.S. Border Patrol apprehended 158 people on the terrorist watch list trying to sneak in from Mexico. The number of people who were coming across the Canadian border was a lot less than coming across the Mexican border, as you remember. But the number on the terrorist watch list who were apprehended coming from Canada was like 358, 150, versus 350. And that is a real indication of that the Canadian government knows what's been going on and has really not done very much about it. And Trump got pissed, which is good. A lot of people may say, they don't like the way Trump handled it. Okay, I get those arguments. But the point is, previous presidents didn't handle the issue, didn't raise it. And Canada and Mexico remained threats to the U.S. Trump said, I'm just not dealing with that. And so that's a good thing, because at least we're talking about it. And eventually we'll settle our relations with Mexico City and Ottawa. But we need to raise these issues, and you're absolutely right. We have real problems coming across those two borders.
Let's talk about the Panama Canal. I had you're Gordon Chang. I had on Michael Yon the other night from the Panama Canal. We could hear all the noise and everything behind him. BlackRock, I guess, is going to be buying up parts of the canal, but isn't BlackRock greatly influenced by China? So isn't this just money switching hands? And do we have to really worry that, shouldn't we be worried that this really isn't solving the issue here?
This is not a 100% solution, but this is like a 90 or 95% solution.
Well, that's good.
And yes, BlackRock, Larry Fink have been influenced by China, but those days are coming to an end. And so this is good. You're talking about two port operations, one at Cristobal and the other at Balboa. Cristobal on the Atlantic side of the canal zone, Balboa at the other. And these were port operations of C.K. Hutchison, which is part of the Hutchison Group in Hong Kong, which is the world's, perhaps the world's premier port operator, but they're controlled by China. Because they're in Hong Kong, China can tell them what to do. And so we're really worried because that gave China enormous control over the canal zone. And now that these are going to be in BlackRock's hands, this is a lot better for us. Now, this is not a 100% solution because there are other Chinese enterprises in the canal zone. China can still block the canal, but we're moving in the right direction. And, Michael Yon, by the way, he's a real hero of freedom.
Indeed he is. Well, that's good. There's some good news. A couple more questions for you. How about this one here? China loses a multi-billion-dollar COVID court case. It didn't even bother to show up. Now, this is the Attorney General of Missouri. He sued them over COVID, and are they now going to pay up? How does Missouri go about getting multi-billion dollars out of China?
We're going to find out the answer to that question. China claims sovereign immunity. It said it didn't have to defend that case. Now, the Chinese central government has sovereign immunity in certain cases. It's limited by statute. Now, the Chinese Communist Party, by the way, doesn't have sovereign immunity because in China, there are 9 political parties that are recognized, the Communist Party being only one of them. Now, if you are only one of 9 political parties, you can't be sovereign. Now, of course, as a practical matter, the Communist Party is more important than the sovereign in China, which is the central government. But for instance, the Chinese military, that's really assets of the Communist Party. So if Missouri can find a destroyer someplace, it's subject to attachment. But of course, it's China, and so courts are going to give it great deference around the world. I don't know how this one ends up. I think it's great that Missouri pursued this because China deliberately spread coronavirus around the world. Once it broke out into the Chinese population, Xi Jinping took steps to spread it beyond China's borders. That's 7 million people killed, including 1.2 million Americans. So we got to do something about this for a lot of reasons. And it's not just justice. It's also we need to establish deterrence to show China that they can't spread another disease.
Well, if they can tie, Mr. Chang, some of the land that China's bought in the U.S. to the CCP, I guess, why can't we use that to make good on the judgment and get some of our American land back out of the hands of the CCP?
Yeah, most of that land is not bought by the CCP or by the Chinese central government. It's bought by Chinese nationals or Chinese companies. And so there's going to be a question of whose land is it? And there are other issues there.
But if you could tie those people to the CCP and that this is just a laundering and money and shell game, do we have, I mean, is it worth pursuing to try to get some of this land out of the hands of the CCP, out of these people?
Absolutely. We got to get all the land, all our agriculture and ranch land out of the hands of Chinese nationals. Chinese nationals are doing some pretty pernicious things with it. And it's not just the espionage, it's also illegal marijuana grows. Chinese parties in Oklahoma are basing human trafficking operations on the land. This is really dangerous stuff. You know, no American can own a square inch in mainland China. So the question is, well, why do we allow the Chinese parties to own land here, especially when they're doing bad things with it? So yeah, we got to do something about it. And hopefully, you know, the courts will allow Missouri to seize some of this land.
Indeed. Two more questions. Here's Marco Rubio put out a tweet. Beijing is pressuring other governments to send Uyghurs and other groups back to China where they will be subject to torture and enforced disappearances. In response, Ed State Department will immediately take steps to impose visa restrictions on government officials involved in those forced returns, including the recent instances of 40 Uyghurs from Thailand. Individuals complicit in China's atrocities will be held accountable. Have you been shocked or pleased when it comes to Gordon or Secretary of State Marco Rubio?
Yeah, this was magnificent, and I just put that out on X. It just says magnificent. Thank you, Secretary Rubio, because we've got to hold these officials around the world accountable because China's committing genocide against the Uyghurs, the Kazakhs, and the other Turkic minorities. And officials in other countries who send back Uyghurs are sending them perhaps to their death, certainly to a gruesome future. So this was wrong on the part of Thailand to do that. Thailand is a treaty ally of the United States. We need to have some really serious conversations with Bangkok about this. The country's going sideways, and we just got to make sure that China doesn't take it over, because China is extremely influential in Thailand right now, as evidenced by Thai officials deporting those 40 Uyghurs, which was just unconscionable.
And then final question. Are you pleased so far with what you're seeing out of the Trump administration, or is there something that you think they should be doing differently or doing more?
Yeah, in general, on balance, I think the Trump administration is doing great things in foreign policy. I don't believe that we can do a reverse Nixon. In other words, woo Russia away from China. And President Trump is obviously trying to do that. That is not realistic. I think Putin is going to give us a hard time, and it's going to set us back. But apart from that, Trump's doing great things on China. He's doing great things in the Canal Zone. I love this because we need to have an assertive America because there are so many problems that his predecessors let slide, and we got to deal with them. Trump's dealing with them, and the American people should support him, because if Trump succeeds, America succeeds.
Amen to that. At Gordon G. Chang, make sure you get the G in there. At Gordon G. Chang to follow him on X. Check out his book, Red Plan, and all the other books. Just put his name into Amazon. You'll find him. Hey, as always, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, and look forward to seeing you at your conference, which should be so much fun.
We do as well. It'll be great to be together. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Gordon G. Chang checking in. Follow him on X at Gordon G. Chang. And again, put his name into Amazon. Find his great books. And yes, he'll be with us in person October 3rd and 4th. That's a Friday night and a Saturday. There are only 350 seats. We lowered the price of the tickets this year to $99. We're able to get our costs down by moving it to the Mid-South and a new facility, a beautiful theater. But the theater only seats 350. So it's going to be a first come, first serve. It's centrally located in the United States of America. Easy driving for many of you. The airport in the Memphis is a very middle-sized airport. Easy to get in and out of. And we are in a safe, middle class, upper class, a suburb of Memphis. And all the details are at worldviewstore.com, including the hotels to use to book your rooms and whatnot. So I hope you'll join us. Otherwise, you need to be a member of the Vault, and then you can live stream it as well. Worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. All right, there you go, folks. We just did another long format interview. That was about 25 minutes, right, Logan? Yeah. About 25 minutes. Now, how many commercial breaks would the average network have taken in that 25 minutes? Not us. We're sticking to this format, which is you support us, and we say no to advertisers outside of our sponsors. We say no. Sorry. Will you do that? Will you go there now? Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address there. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you can give by credit card, PayPal, mail, phone. Folks, the foundation is one of our biggest sponsors. It's here. The foundation exists for many reasons, but primarily to push out news, information, and programming to help people understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. Okay? And one of the big dominant 6, there are more than 6 worldviews, but there are 6 dominant. One of those 6 is communism. We just had a big conversation about China, this Communist Chinese Party, CCP, and their infiltration of America and Canada and Mexico and all this going on, and the unrestricted warfare, the new ways of warfare like pandemics, plagues, economic warfare, propaganda. That's another reason why we're important. We're battling for hearts and minds, right? Trying to show them truth. So it's very important that we have your support. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Melissa, my wonderful wife, handles all the customer support and donor relations. And she read me this today. I said, I want you to send that to me. I would like to read it. I watch every day at 11. This dear lady is in San Diego. So she's 11 o'clock. Her time's 1 o'clock Central. Mine when I go on the air for radio and TV. I watch every day at 11 and sometimes catch Rob Manus, never miss JJ, and every night starting at 4:30, which is California time, 6:30 Central. That's when I come on with the Washington Report with Neil. Every night starting at 4:30 until Brandon's off the air. Love the programming, content, and biblical perspective. I'm behind enemy lines in Rainbow, San Diego. Pro LGBTQ. They've gone mad there. I wonder if she knows Karen Kingston. Karen's in San Diego, isn't she, Logan? Love my church, but you are my lifeline to sanity. Now, folks, thank you, dear lady, for sending that on. It's a great encouragement. And I'll tell you, folks, we get so many texts, so many emails, so many handwritten letters like that. So I hope you'll support us so we can keep going and growing and doing what we do. And keep it free. Keep that player out front where everybody can watch and everybody can get informed. We've now have shipped out and mailed out 7,000 of these business cards that talk about Worldview Tube front and back. We're reprinting them now. We're reprinting them, and on the back, we're going to put a QR code. One of you have a smart audience. One of you, and a lot of times when you guys suggest stuff, we do seriously consider it. Sometimes we actually do it. One of you yesterday said, why not put a QR code on there on the back that brings you right to the What About page where people can find all about your 35-year history. I thought that's a great idea. So those are being reprinted. And right now, you can go to Worldview Store and get your free business cards. Go to worldviewstore.com and get those. There's 20. We'll send them out to you absolutely free. Spread them around. And see, the beautiful thing about you supporting us through our foundation and our sponsors is we can invite new people to watch. Nobody has to pay. You know, how do you convince someone to pay to get behind a paywall 24/7 when they don't even know anything about you? Well, they don't have to. Now, yeah, we have our vault, and we'd love to have them access all of our years of stuff, right? But our 24/7 stream is there. And when you tell them about it, it's free. What do they got to lose to go watch a little bit? I like what one of our listeners said to someone. They said, watch for 30 days. See if you're not more informed. Watch Worldview Tube for 30 days. See if you're not better informed. But we're going to put the QR code on the back for the next ones, where anyone that scans it, it's going to bring them right here to this page, our new About page. We announced this yesterday afternoon on radio. We're getting so much great feedback. You can look at it at worldviewtube.com/about. worldviewtube.com/about. Learn about our 35 years since I started as a public speaker with my first book in 1990. In fact, you click that, and then anything that's got a red play button on it, anything that has that red play button is a video, and then you can see my first documentary on the New Age movement in 1991, filmed in Arizona. So I hope you go to worldviewtube.com/about. But anytime you see those red buttons, that's a video behind that. And we're getting so much great feedback where people saying, I didn't know you guys had done all this, or that you had done all this, House. And to see the growth of your organization and the development and the perseverance. There I am on the O'Reilly Factor in 1999. So a lot of people are really enjoying this, and our music and all our concerts and family pictures and photos. And now people are loving this right here. They're loving the fact that now we're on to another generation. Another generation is doing this. Logan is at the desk and doing this, and folks are loving watching that. So again, come on over here at worldviewtube.com/about and check it out. Let's see what else. Yeah, I don't guess there's anything new. I found a few extra pictures the last 24 hours, and he's going to add a few new ones. But there's a lot of fun there. And again, it helps people see that that we've got a long track record, and we're sticking to the course, folks. That's one of my favorite photos on Capitol Hill with Sonny Bono. The man was the perfect height. All right, I'm just saying. The guy we saw literally eye to eye, Sonny Bono. In fact, I was in his office with Tom DeWeese was there and a few others, and we were meeting about education and what the progressives and globalists were doing in education. And Sonny Bono and his staff, and there was a few meetings over the few months. They understood more of what we were talking about than almost any of the other Republicans. And I don't know if that's because Sonny Bono came from a more of a Hollywood progressive background, but he totally understood what we were talking about and the need for a free, independent educational system where you weren't merging education with industrial production, as you see in the 10th plank of the Communist Manifesto. But a lot of great memories there. I hope you'll check it out. worldviewtube.com/about. worldviewtube.com/about. And of course, remember, worldviewtube.com, spell it right, sponsors, okay? Get you to all of our sponsors. Let's go to the Dolly Cam real quick before we go to our next guest, Robert Spencer. There's the Dolly Cam, a little off center, but they can move it. It's robotic. She is sound asleep tonight. I guess she didn't hear the beginning theme music, did she? She's out like a light. Yeah. Now you guys are trying to wake her up. You're going to get her going. The guys in the control room were calling her. All right, she's on Gatatana, folks. Half a scoop every day. Every day she's on a half a scoop of Gatatana. I take it every day. She takes it every day. Maybe Melissa will bring it to me here at the news desk. But get this Gatatana for yourself, for your pet. Loaded with all kinds of important trace minerals, which are great for the dogs, the pets, and you, and amino acids and all kinds of things. So you can check it out. Lots of clinical trials behind it. The sales of this have spiked. I just was having a conversation with Dave Hunter this afternoon, and the sales of this have spiked since the middle of February. So a lot of you are taking this now. Thank you. You're supporting your health, and you're supporting us. I hope you'll continue to do that. worldviewtube.com/sponsors to log into Gatatana, get a subscription, and find out about all our sponsors. All right, well, let's keep it moving. Let's get to our next guest.